Welcome to Reality After Show coverage of The Challenge. We are talking season 40, and it is premiere night. I'm your host, Dan Montchal, joined as always by Alex Trias. And if you've missed our off-season coverage, maybe you missed it, but welcome back, because we're not alone. We have a new co-host. Some may call him the face of Era 4. Some love him. Others love to root against him. But the one thing that you cannot deny is he makes our beloved challenge show better every season he is on. It's Paulie Calafiore. Paulie, Alex, season 40 premiere. What do you think?
Season 40 premiere. Before we start, another sponsor here. We're going to get this fired up unofficially. See it?
Man, what do we think, boys? Especially obviously everyone who's going to be watching this, listening to this afterwards, is going to be more focused on how the episode ended.
Well, but should we start with the ending or save the ending? I think
I think that's up to you. Best for last, just like the show.
I mean, let's give a little sprinkle here. I'll just say, listen, guys, you're welcome. All right. I know you guys have watched like the past 4 years and you're like, what's all this kumbaya stuff? You know, a lot of you guys are like, oh, you know, Paulie's back, USA 2. I'm so happy for him. Listen, guys, I told you I'm at a lighter place in my life, but the fire's still in there. Like the dog's still here. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I may be on Era 4, but I was just born in the wrong generation, guys, because I'm Era 1, Era 2 to my core. And I feel like that's, you know, like I didn't get when I came on the challenge, I didn't get like what these new kids get from all the vets where it's like, let's all hang out. Let's all be friends. Oh my God, they're tweeting about me. They're posting about me. These challenge audiences. No, I didn't get that. I got smacked in the face essentially by the vets. Like I was not welcome. Johnny didn't welcome me in with like open arms. Like the veteran, like legendary women didn't welcome me in with open arms. Cara welcomed me in with open legs, but that's a different story. But like, I feel like these new kids, they never got it like how I got it, or like how Jordan got it, or like how Corey and Hunter and Nelson got it. Like we legitimately had to fight for our lives against these veterans, and these new kids have come in and the veterans are like, we love you guys so much. Please don't throw us in our old age. And they're like, what? You're being nice to me? Okay, I won't do it. So, I mean, I hope we got a little bit of an old school flair from that ending, but we'll dive into it a little bit more later and how it came to be and how Theo and I got to that boiling point.
Yeah, for sure, because there's definitely some questions there, because there's some things that are said specifically by Theo that you're like, as the viewer, we didn't see it. We didn't see what he's referencing. So we're like, you're sort of, like, from my perspective of only knowing what's on the show, I'm like, I feel like I'm receiving it as Paulie got him on his back foot so hard because he took the power away with the move of just calling him out right there in Deliberation, that Theo's now like stumbling. He's stumbling. He's trying to catch something like, oh, well, you're a man of your word. You broke your word. I hate you. But it's just like he started going to his stick instead of just like, no, yeah, I said your name. Let's do it.
Yeah, bro. I mean, listen, one thing about me is I ain't going to get blindsided.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm also not the kind of person that like tiptoes around the conversation when like the walls are whispering of like, oh, I heard that he's asking for you. And then like, you know, we have conversations and it's like, are you asking for me? It's like, you know, like we had some conversations, but it was more like I'm weighing my options of like, if I go into an elimination and lose to any of these other guys, you know, it makes me look like an idiot. So why not ask for you, where like, if I lose, it's not as bad. If I win, I get street credit. So like, I understand like those things, but you know, to me, if it's like, if you're going around asking for somebody, you know, say it with your chest. So you know, I'm from New Jersey, so I'm going to be in the Deliberation. I'm going to be like, hey bro, listen, I heard you were talking that shit. What is it?
Well, it was not perfect. As nice
as a smile on my face, but you know, the Italian side came out a little bit.
Well, it was perfect because how often you mentioned you were born in the wrong era. How often did we used to hear back in the day of, you know, you're new to the show, you got to earn your stripes. We haven't heard that phrase in the challenge in forever.
We haven't, and the thing is, I think I'm one of the few and only new people that ever came into the show and flipped the game on its heads, where it's like I had the vets reeling for their life. Like, they didn't control the games the way that they once did, because I took their strategy and just said, oh, I could do this and I could do it kind of better. And, you know, I feel like I am, like, it's unfortunate that I'm on a team with all these people, because I so badly didn't want to work with them at all.
Yeah.
Like, other than Nerys, you know, and like, I do love Casey. Like, I was interested to play a game with her, but once again, she plays a very different game than me. Like, she's very good and coy and likes to fly under the radar, doesn't like the attention on her. Josh and I smoothed over our stuff. I thought we were working together. Josh, you little bitch, fucking going to Theo and throwing me under the bus. I'll deal with you later. But for me, it's like, I said it on our leading up to the season premiere things. It's like, I have no want or need to argue or have beef with people in their 40s. Like, I really just don't. And, you know, I think Bananas, I'll give him credit to this, when him and I had our heart-to-hearts on USA 2, he said that the reason why he gave me such a fucking hard time is because he cares about the show and loves the show so much. So he didn't want to just roll out the red carpet for me, even though he saw things in me that could be good as a challenger and good for the show. He was like, I am not going to just let you have it that easy, because I didn't have it that easy and nobody had it that easy. So I'm going to make your life miserable, even if you're good, because that's what it needs to be. And I feel like a lot of these new kids kind of skated under the radar with that. So what I was actually looking forward to coming into 40 was to not be on a team with them, because I was going to be the one being like, fuck you guys. Like, you haven't earned shit. You haven't earned shit to your name. You haven't been bullied by the fucking vets. I'm going to bully you. You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate that I'm on a team with them, and now I have to kind of navigate that, and that kind of pigeonholed me, because it is intimidating when I come into the game and everybody in the house is sitting there being like, if we don't get this guy early, he can gather all the numbers in the house and control the house. And, you know, I think that there was a lot of influence already happening and a lot of pressure happening to my team specifically. Like, the other teams, nobody even walked up to or approached the people who won, right? So like CT and Rachel, nobody approached them. Jonny and Laurel, nobody approached them. Corey and Tori, nobody approached them. But Horacio and Michelle, everybody from every other era was in their ears, Laurel specifically. And it was like a flashback of War of the Worlds 2 for me. And the thing about Theo and everybody from that season is they fucking did all the shit they did, and then they tried to turn around and play victim and then gaslight me into thinking that they didn't do what they did, and I didn't witness with my own eyes and ears what they did on that season. I was literally witnessing it happen in real time there, where Michelle couldn't get a breath. Horacio couldn't get a breath. They were getting pulled everywhere. I saw her. Anytime I talked to Horacio and Michelle, Laurel immediately afterwards, right up to them, like going. I'm like, girl, what are you doing? And I'm like sitting here, and I was like, okay, cool. If y'all want to start a war again, we're going to start a war again. And we all know how that turned out last time. So game on.
It's
crazy. Interesting though, especially the Laurel part of it. Like, I sort of get it with Horacio, because, like, you know, the last time they were on a show together, they had a little flirty thing going there. So there's some sort of connection there. But like, Michelle listening to Laura at all, unless it's Laurel just backing into a corner and like trying to intimidate her into doing.
But that's what it was.
Wants.
And Michelle is such a weak-minded player, and she cowers to someone like that she was literally scared for her fucking life. Like, her and I would have conversations, and I'd be like, Michelle, chill the fuck out. I will have your back. I'm like, the conversations that I had with Michelle and Horacio leading into the nomination is I was like, you guys need to think, not right now. You need to think 5 weeks from now, and you need to think 6, 7, 8 weeks from now. I said, who do you want with you that has absolutely no fear to pull the trigger when the time comes to make the hard decisions and pull the trigger against people that might be afraid to pull the trigger. I said, that's me. I said, and the thing is, I'm on your team. So if anybody tries to intimidate you or fucking start some shit, I said, do you think they want me popping off in their face? Like, there's some nasty people that pop off, but I'm probably one of the nastiest. And what has been shown on past seasons of the challenge is not even a fraction of how nasty and mean I am. When people like deserve it. Like, I don't just pop off for no reason. Like, usually you push me to a boiling point and then I'm like, okay, well, I was going to be cordial and just play the game, but now my goal is to make sure you hurt while I'm playing this game.
Right.
Yeah, that's perfect. This is why you're great for the show, Paulie. And it does seem like it's these people that, you know, they're bringing up War of the Worlds 2. They're almost taking the victory lap for how it turned out, as if it wasn't, you needed someone like Jordan, one of the GOATs of the game, to flip the show on its head. And it's like a lot of these other vets that were eliminated much earlier, mostly due to you and your alliance that you built, somehow get to take that victory lap of, oh, we got him, when no, it was Jordan who really
it was
did all
Jordan.
that.
It was Jordan and only Jordan. And I think that's where my beef with a lot of just the vets and the OGs in general come into play, because I feel like for the longest time they have been riding on the coattails of, like, you know, Bananas and CT and Cara and Laurel being so successful, and Wes being successful for all these years. And it's like, they're like, yeah, we're just like them. It's like, no, you're not. Like, they have 5 championships, 7 championships. Wes has 3 championships, but they kind of created, they're the ones who got the torch passed to them in that middle part, turned the game into the most competitive athletic game that it was. They took the game seriously. They're like, we're not here to vacation. We'll party and have fun, but we want to win. And Cara and Laurel also had that in those days. So it's like, I feel like the older people are coming into this trying to be like, no, let's make it a vacation again. It's like, no, retire. Go to the All-Stars or something. Don't come to the flagship and try and make it this. Like, we don't want to ride skateboards down a thing in a final. You know what I mean? And then once again, I feel like the vets that were kind of, you know, jumping on that bandwagon, they do that with Jordan too. Like, Jordan is an anomaly. Like, if Jordan beats me in a final and you were in his alliance, you didn't win. He won. Like, he beat me. Like, you didn't beat me. You didn't make it to the end. And that's like, and I feel like the fans on social media kind of get gaslit into this, you know, misinformation, like propaganda, because they'll all band together and like talk to each other and be like, this is what we're going to tweet during the episodes. And we're just going to keep repeating the same thing over and over and over again. And it keeps the people from actually watching what's actually happening in the episode. And that's why I was able to put Theo back on his feet, because it's like, bro, you're going to try and gaslight me into what actually happened on War of the Worlds 2 and now act like you weren't a part of that and you didn't know about it. Like, you knew about it. You all knew about it, because on the bus leading to that challenge, we're all talking shit to me and Cara, saying that we were going to go into elimination next. Now, why would you think you had that kind of control? Oh, because you knew they were going to throw the challenge. But now you're going to come 5 years later and talk to me like you weren't a part of that.
Right.
And also you're going to sit here and be like, oh, but look, I love Cara and like I played with her. Yeah, you played with her on War of the Worlds 1. We worked together. I loved you like a brother. You come into War of the Worlds 2 and you side with them, and you're going to expect me to take that lightly? No, it's not going to happen.
And like you said, to sum it all up, you're in the wrong generation.
Yeah.
You're in the wrong generation.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting Olivia and Nerys to pop off a little bit more, because I'm like, why are you guys being so nice to each other? Like me and Theo, that deliberation, we sat down and we were staring holes through each other, and we let everybody plead their case, and we let the girls say their thing, and I, like, him and I were just like, can everybody just get their like nice tiptoeing around whatever the fuck they need to say, so that we could have our fucking, you know, because we got shit to say to each other, and we knew it was on as soon as we went in there.
Right. Okay.
But that's the old school way, dude. And like, that's what I can't stand about the people who are like, it's a reality show. It's not a competition show. It's like, yeah, all right. You put two former athletes. He was a freaking Olympian. I was a professional athlete. You put two people like that in the show across from each other, whether we're cordial outside of the show or not, or we're cordial like when we come into a show, competition is competition. And we take that shit personally. You know what I mean? So it's like, I would expect it to be the same way, roles reversed. If I was the one in elimination, I was going around the house asking for Theo's name. If he came into the deliberation and was nice to me, I would be like, all right, yeah, you're a bitch.
Yeah.
I do want you because you're clearly a bitch. But you need that kind of dynamic in the show and in the game. And I just don't want that to get lost. And if there's one thing that I'll make sure as long as I do these shows is that it's not going to get lost.
We love that. And you know what? That's a good place to leave off that part of the episode. We'll go back to the beginning. You guys are pulled in on a giant container. How long were you guys in that?
Was that a shipping container?
It was a shipping container. Yeah.
How long were you guys in there?
Well, not a minute.
Yes, I figured.
Could have been an hour. Could have been an hour there. Like, there may or may not have been people in the container melting down and like freaking out. And like, I'm like, I stay calm in those situations. And when people start like losing their minds and freaking out, like I want to be very mindful of like what they're going through. But I also like start to get irritated and agitated and want to just like be like, can you guys just shut the fuck up? Like, you're not making anything any better by screaming and crying while we're in this shipping container, losing oxygen,
Yeah.
So as you're screaming and crying, you're actually taking up more oxygen and you're making it hotter in here. And, you're kind of fucking loud and annoying. But once again, I understand it's the challenge. We get put in these situations, but like for me, I'm claustrophobic, right?
Yeah.
Or at least I was. But like when I get put into that environment, a switch goes on and I just go, I'm locked in now. Like I'm locked in. I'm not about to show weakness to anybody in here, even though on the inside, I might be freaking out. I'm going to sit there calm, cool, collected. I'm going to go into like my breathing techniques and I'm going to go to a different place. Right? Like we're on the challenge. We're on the challenge, like people on the show sniff out weakness like that. So it's like, we didn't even start our first challenge yet. And you're already breaking down being like, oh, okay, those are the mentally weak ones.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And it's like, it'd be different. I feel if it was like, oh, you're all buried alive. Like,
which I did on Final Reckoning.
Right.
and like, I was claustrophobic then. And I was like, I'm going to take this whistle and throw it by my feet. So I'm not even tempted to blow it.
Damn,
that's smart.
Couldn't be me.
And
buried alive is terrifying. Like my one thing.
But what's that like coming out? As much as that may have been horrible, but what's that like coming out? And I mean, the way that even TJ comes in with, it looked like you're outside of Vegas to a light and water show. Like, what's going on there?
Dude, so that intro actually didn't do it justice before TJ walked out. So we went out. The explosions and everything happened. Then the water was up and they had this hologram montage. Like imagine a 10-minute fucking highlight reel of like the most intense challenge moments ever. And then everything just shuts down and then the lights come on and TJ walks out. So like you're ready to fucking run through a wall at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wanted to like just turn to Horacio and Kylan and punch him in the face for no reason, just to get like hyped up and be like, let's go. Because like it didn't do it justice, but like I understand like they couldn't show the whole 10-minute montage and then be like this. But the montage was a really dude, it was like I don't know. I got amped up when it happened, and then TJ walking out. Like you couldn't have a better entrance. Like we've had some sick entrances there, but there's no entrance that I think ever will top that one.
Yeah, you could sort of see the highlights being shown, but it was like. You're right. It didn't do it justice that that's like what the ultimate end product was. Maybe that's why they showed it in the pre the containers of it all, just like showing all that, just so we knew what you guys were even watching. would not have put CT being the first to cry of everyone on the cast. Would have had
Didn't have
Josh.
that on that bingo card. Definitely would have had Josh.
Josh, Michelle.
Josh would
Anyone
have
on
been the free
Arrow4,
space.
really?
Yeah, he's the free space. Just Josh cries like,
Yeah.
That doesn't need to be on the
shocked.
bingo card. That's just in the
I was
middle.
shocked, man. That's how CT does it. He pulls you in. He pulls you in like it's nothing.
He pulls you in.
Yeah.
And just like that, I'm back.
Just like that. You're like, it does not matter. It does not matter. We do learn the prize pot. All he says is the total prize pot is $1 million. Is that all that was said to you guys?
We were told that there will be. I don't know what I can and can't say to get in trouble, but there were hints that
It'll be split.
it's no. There were hints that it's $1 million, but that maybe maybe we're not going to be in teams forever.
Gotcha.
So that also plays into conversations that I had with Michelle and Horacio, just being like, there's going to come a time where, you're going to need people.
Mhm.
And I'm that guy.
Absolutely.
I think what was great about it is because, it announces for $1 million. You see a bunch of people's reactions. And welcome back to the challenge of Vive, because her response is like, maybe show up to the reunion with some boobies, keep the midlife crisis going. I was like, why hasn't she been back? Because no one else has given us that.
Dude, she's gold. And,
yeah.
I think everybody would want to see that at the reunions. She seems like she's got a nice old perky pair. Good old ripe mom boobies. We love a good pair of mom boobs.
It was a great welcome back to the franchise of Vive. If no one knew who you were, they're now invested now.
Oh yeah, immediately invested.
But this is also where you almost immediately get told you're going straight into a challenge. Just under half of you will be facing elimination. This is individual, but you will ultimately be in your era teams to start. What's going through your mind as soon as you learn that information?
I like to calculate probabilities of things. And, when he said it's like a run and a puzzle and a paddle, I was like, I've got a good shot at this. Like, my track record with puzzles is really great. I was like, the only person that I really have to beat is Horacio on this side. And, going from essentially a 1 in 40 chance or a 1 in 20 chance to go into an elimination on the guy's side, right? So you go from a 1 in 20 chance to going into elimination to a 1 in 5 chance of going into elimination. And then if you don't win and you don't come in last place, you've got a 1 in 3 chance of getting voted into an elimination. So it's like your probability numbers go from this very small percentage, to a 20% chance to a 33% chance very fast.
Right.
And that's immediately what was going through my mind was, okay, let me do this. I don't know where I stand on this team. My relationships mainly lied on eras 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
So I was sitting there being like, damn, I don't really know who I'm good with on this team. But I also I felt like as long as I didn't come in last place, I was good from hitting the elimination floor, because I'm like, in my mind, I'm probably the most seasoned here in terms of, playing, but also playing against vets and not working with vets, Josh, in order to kind of navigate the game. So I was like, they're going to lean on me to do this. So I felt pretty good, if I'm being honest, going into that first challenge. Regardless of the outcome, I was like, as long as it's not last place, I'm solid.
Cool. Yeah. So like you said, challenge is called Light It Up. You are running to your puzzle. the puzzle is shape of 40. Complete the puzzle. Head to your little miso soup boat, as CT called it, and go and collect 10 lights of your era from one of the 100 buoys. First man, first woman of each era win. Last place of each era automatically goes in. Then there's basically an open forum for each era to publicly vote, or the winners publicly pick who will go in. Cool.
I thought it was a great first challenge, and I loved how being the first challenge and this, monumental season was we weren't rushing through it. It was take our time and getting the clips from a number of people as they go along. I thought it was done really nice.
Yeah, I mean, definitely shout out to the editing crew on that, because, I mean, how do you capture 40 people?
Yeah.
Working and give it that. I personally would have liked the run to be longer. And I would have liked the boating to also be longer. And in, those circular things, I think were definitely good because it made it hard. And there was a nuance on how to paddle those things. And if you didn't know how to paddle those things, as you saw with Nerys and Leroy, it could fuck you, because I'm pretty sure Nerys was the first girl on our team to solve the puzzle.
It looked like from the edit she was first or second. And the other thing that we did learn is from Tina is just in case you're Vietnamese, that doesn't automatically help you out either.
Yeah, I mean, because that makes no sense. Like being Vietnamese in Vietnam, I don't understand how that relates to rowing a boat at all. But
territory.
Good soundbite. Great soundbite.
Yeah. Era 1 has the good sound bites. You have CT with the CT pro tips throughout the episode. Love those. Just like, hey, pro tip, as everyone should know, don't follow your fucking boat. It's harder to swim.
It's kind of like the Captain Obvious commercials.
Yeah.
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 That's what it felt like. But it was good. I mean, the thing about like a challenge that's that like kind of a sprint is there's no way to, kind of distance yourself, right? Like it really could be anybody's game. You know what I mean? Because when it's so quick like that, there's really no differentiating thing where it's like, all right, I arrived to the puzzle 3 minutes before everybody else. Now I can solve this. If I solve it faster, I can, get even more of a lead and all that. Like it was very much a sprint. I don't know why there were shapes on the shape to create the shape, because to me a 3D puzzle is pretty straightforward, and when they say it's a number 40, there's really only one way that a number 40 could look. And I will say that on the pink team, our writing on the back was not like Era 1 when they showed it, where it's like they had a navy blue block with white writing on it. Like we had pink with pink on ours, and the lights were very dim. So nobody on our team saw those things at all.
Right.
So like,
I was going to ask you about that, because I was like, because I feel like you would be someone who would catch that on the puzzle, and you would have just been like if it was looking the same way as the others were.
I wasn't even looking for it because I'm like, it's a number 40. Like I solved that puzzle like 20 times before everybody else on my team and called check 20 times. And they were like, you're wrong. And I was like, there's really only a certain amount of ways you can make a number 40 out of these blocks.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like, I didn't realize that, they're looking for the shapes to line up. Which it was confusing to me, but it is what it is. That's just the game you play. It because I do look for those things, but why look for it when it's something so obvious? And it wasn't until I think I finally looked at down the line, and I was like, wait a second. They're like era 1 and era 2, their stuff was obvious. Era 3 and era 4, our colors were kind of very similar to the colors of the blocks we had. So, you know, we were all kind of like, what the fuck? You know, like all of us are like, how the fuck did era 1 and era 2 solve their shit way before all of us did?
Right.
And then finally somebody was like, there's fucking things there. I forget who screamed it, but everybody's like, there's fucking little things. And we were like looking at it. I'm like, oh, well, shit, you know?
Yeah. And then at that point, it's just don't be last.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, me and Theo, like, me and Theo were having like a whole mind fuck because we're like, wait, we're good at puzzles. How the fuck are we the last two men here? You know what I mean? And, you know, at that point, you just are like, all right, well, it is what it is. And I don't even think Theo, like, I was coming back with all my pieces as Theo was coming in the morning. He goes, Paulie, is that you? And I was like, yeah. He goes, you got all the pieces? I was like, yeah. He goes, all right, fuck it then. I'm not going out. And he just like went back and waited on shore.
Well, you could tell it was getting weird for eras 3 and 4 because when Corey's the first person from era 3, I don't care how much practice he's done with his daughters, because that had to be mentioned in there. It just doesn't make it make sense because he can.
There's no way Corey won a puzzle. All right.
I'm shocked.
I don't care how much practice you have. That man ain't solving no puzzles.
I was just shocked. I was shocked. It's not like I was expecting it to be Jordan or Devin. I was thinking Devin would just complete the puzzle very quickly. He'd already be out there.
Yeah.
Win.
Like we all kind of sized that up, and we were like, all right, on era 1, probably going to be CT. Era 2, we were like, could be Derek, could be Bananas. Era 3, definitely Jordan or Devin. And then era 4, I think we were the only ones kind of a toss-up but you know, once again, I never played with Kylan or Horacio, so I didn't know their puzzle-solving abilities, but I knew that mine blew Josh's away from every season that we've ever done. So, it's crazy.
Devin was the one that surprised, and obviously Corey there. It didn't surprise me with Jordan just because if you've looked at him a lot, especially the last handful of challenges he's done, I don't know if it takes him a while to warm up or if he's doing it deliberately because he knows how big of a final threat he is, that he doesn't want to come out of the gates kind of on fire.
No, that's not Jordan. Jordan, if he can come out of the gates on fire, he'll come out of the gates on fire.
Then I guess maybe it takes him a few challenges to kind of warm up and get back into challenge mode, because I feel like that has been a pattern, especially as of late when he's been on, that he comes in and, you know, he needs 2 weeks to kind of get back into challenge mode, and then he's the Jordan we all know.
That's why I'm a big proponent on taking swings at big players early, because, you know, when I was taking the shots at Jonny early on those seasons, because I knew once he gets to the halfway point, it becomes very difficult to get rid of. And that's why if the numbers were in my favor sooner on War of the Worlds 2, Jordan would have went into way more eliminations way earlier, because once again, it's a probability game, right? Somebody like Jordan, he could sneak out 2 or 3 elimination wins, but can he sneak out 6? That's a big feat for like anybody. There's only 2 people that have won 5, and that's Horacio and Wes, right? And, you know, those are like out of 40 seasons. So the probability is there. But when you let like good players, like even myself, like I would make jokes going into my earlier seasons being like, if you don't get me out within the first 2 weeks, like I'm gone. See ya. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm not going to say that about other people and not say it about myself. Like, yeah, if you want me gone, take the shots early. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And pray that I don't come back.
Well, and I
Something
think
that you and Cara have very much in common. You can put me in, please. You better pray at night that I don't come back in.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. Yeah. But so we got our winners. Our winners for Era 1, CT and Rachel. Chalk picks, would have expected it. Era 2, Laurel and Bananas, but do have to note, Cara was the second overall person to finish.
So did they show that like in the episode of like where people finished in like?
I was sort of taking it as they were showing it because they showed Laurel, then they showed Cara, then they showed CT right after. Then
I don't think that's how it actually happened.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, like I don't think Laurel and Cara beat everybody in that realm. Like CT finished pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
And then because like I was on the, I was there still solving my puzzle as people were coming back and finishing. So like I was making note of who like plugged their stuff in and won, and I was like, all right. But little TV magic never hurt nobody. Like it's not out of the question that Laurel and Cara could have theoretically finished first and second out of everybody. That wouldn't be something where people would be like, no way that's possible. Like very possible.
But we do know because it's referenced later that she did beat the rest of Era 2.
She definitely beat the rest of Era 2 100% and would have been the second place person on that team.
And just speaking about Era 2, we talked about it of how dominant the women are. To us, it showed like Kellyanne, she obviously came in last. It looked like she beat every other guy outside of Bananas, maybe Nehemiah, but it looked like she would have finished middle of the pack in her era.
Kellyanne just got
showcasing the dominance.
If she was on any other era, she's not in last place.
Exactly. Just wrong era.
Wrong era.
Could have flipped you guys.
I know. Listen, I would have taken that.
Yeah. Exactly. Era 3 winners, Tori and Corey. Tori chalk pick, as we already stated. Corey, in what world does he win? Props to Devin for swimming his way back. I don't know how far that distance was from where his boat sank.
Aside from the distance, props to Devin for swimming back in Vietnamese water.
Yeah.
Like I remember when it was all done, he was puking for a good minute, and he's like, somebody get me something. He goes, I don't know what the fuck was in that water, but I swallowed a lot of it. And I was like, oh, buddy, you're going to have quite the night. Quite the night.
Man.
Yeah.
But, like, total respect there. Like, a lot of people dog Devin because they only think of him as, like, oh, he's only there, like, as the brains. He can't do the physical. Dude can do the physical.
The thing I've gained a different respect for Devin because he's taken it a little bit more seriously on the physical side, and he was a top lacrosse player back in the day. But he went through his phase that some athletes do, where they let themselves go a little bit. But it doesn't mean that it can't snap right back. So I think he also plays up the fact that he's, he likes to play up. I'm the utility guy. I'm the layup, but he's not. You can't pull that card anymore once you win. You know what I mean? No. And he is good.
Yeah. And then it rounds us out with Era 4, Horacio and Michelle, who just beats out Jenny, or based off the edit, Jenny for getting one extra piece down at her boat. But Michelle gets the win, which I wasn't gonna automatically chalk up that she would get the win there. Like I thought she'd do great on the puzzle.
I didn't expect her to get the win.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be Casey.
Yeah. If Casey could just finish the puzzle at like a decent time, I just thought she would out physical the rest of it compared to the rest of the girls. But
100%.
Hey, not a bad spot to be in. And then that gives us our losers: Katie and Mark, Kellyanne and Ryan, Naya and Leroy, and Nerys and Theo. And before we go break down the more exciting part of the episode, which is the second half, we do have a brief ad that Dan will run. If you like the Roots, this ad's for you.
Coming to Cary's Coca Booth Amphitheater, it's the legendary Roots crew. That's right, the Roots are coming to Cary, North Carolina, Friday, August 30th. And they're not alone. Special guest Macy Gray. This is benefiting the KYAL Cancer Fund. So get your tickets now. That's right, go to etix.com. That's ETIX.com. or come to the venue box office. It's Coca Booth Amphitheater in Cary, North Carolina, Friday, August 30th. The Roots. See you there.
And we are back. And then one other piece of housekeeping that, we want to get cleared up is obviously we are super excited to have Paulie's in addition to the podcast. And we thought, well, come on now. We need to have some type of party to celebrate Paulie officially joining the team. So on September 11th in Charlotte, North Carolina, we are going to have a challenge viewing party. It's going to be at Protagonist Brewing in Loso. Tickets are going to be on sale at challengetix.com. That's challengetix.com. It's hosted by Jonny Fairplay. We have Paulie, and we didn't want Paulie to be alone. So I'm not sure if you're familiar, but we have a fairly big challenge name. Cara Maria will also be there with us. So come out
herself. Come out, hang. There might be some karaoke, I was told.
Yes. So I think the plan that we're looking at, which once again, you can get your tickets at challengetix.com. There's a VIP. If you sign up, go VIP. That gets you in an hour and a half before the show. We're going to have a meet and greet where you can actually meet and talk to Paulie, Cara, Jonny, anyone else who may show up. And then general admission tickets start at 7:30. We're going to watch the episode. And then we have our friend DJ Festivus that is going to be setting up a little karaoke for us afterwards. So make sure to come out. Once again, that's in Charlotte, North Carolina at Protagonist Beer at challengetix.com. Come join us. It's going to be a great time.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And now we can break down the inner workings of this house, because there is tension in this house immediately. And you know what? I was sort of a fan of this first segment of Ryan calls Laurel a poison. It just comes out just immediately. The challenge ends. You cut to them in a room. Just go. Laurel's a poison. I don't trust her. If there's anyone I don't trust, it's her. Stemming from All Stars 4 or post All Stars 4. Who would have thought the Laurel and Nicole hooking up would have had any issues coming out of it?
Not me. I would have never thought that. That would have been so smooth, always.
Oh, yeah.
I think Brian's one of those hidden gems. What comes out of his mouth is naturally hilarious, and his confessionals are gold. And it's the way he says it. I think Ryan's a great addition to whatever show he's on. I love Ryan.
Yeah, it's over time, every time he's on another season, I gain more appreciation for what he brings to the table. Because, yes, you need to have all the physical beasts. You need someone who's just naturally funny.
Yes, and that's him.
Yeah.
He's like a Leroy, naturally funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But what I liked about it is that I feel like they try to show Laurel as a lover or hater type of thing, but they never really dig into it. And I feel this episode gave me some, not hope, because I'm going to use my words carefully here. I like to see that they're going to maybe flesh it out more as to, well, what do people not like about Laurel? Because we know what people do like about her, but it's not really expressed why the people who don't, why.
I think Laurel's in for a rude awakening, because it almost seemed like on All Stars 4, outside of kind of really just Cara getting berated. It wasn't her trying to attack Laurel, but outside of a little bit of that back and forth, All Stars 4 treated Laurel with kid gloves. And it seems all right, there's 40, there's some big things coming. I think those kid gloves are off, and we're going to see a lot more of the negative things of why some people may not like Laurel.
Well, the thing is, it's All Stars 4, there's people in there, but Cara was the main, let's go after her, right? But now Laurel's in a house where, even though physically she is intimidating, she's playing with some of the legends of the game that really don't care. You think Tina's going to keep her mouth shut? You think Rachel's going to keep her mouth shut? You know, like these people have seen, you know, like Rachel and Tina were the original Mean Girls.
Yeah.
They do not care, you know, like, and if Laurel like tries to show anything like that is the side that most people don't like but are intimidated to say, they're going to say it.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and the other part of Laurel before we actually get to like the actual deliberations is she's talking about how she wants to keep her group strong. So she immediately starts with, well, I'm going to keep Emily because she's big and muscular. But let's also ignore the fact that Emily got fourth in this competition. So it's really down to and remember, Laurel's pitch is, I want to keep the and strongest people on our team so we can keep winning. So the options to go in are Aviv and Cara. Aviv, like you could have easily just gone away with, well, I don't know Aviv. No matter what I feel about Cara, Emily, whoever, they all have won. They know how to do it. They're badasses. They'll keep us winning. I don't know what Aviv will bring to us.
Dude, with the way Laurel was sitting, she was just waiting for Cara to slip up on her words so she could jump down her throat and have a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And to Cara's credit, which, you know, I'll take a little bit of credit of like kind of coaching her up a little bit. She didn't say it and deliver it exactly how I said she should to put them on their, you know, defenses down. But that wouldn't be Cara if she didn't deliver it the way that she delivered it. But to her credit, she stayed very composed. And she stayed very calm, and she didn't fall into the bites that usually would get her riled up and get her to say something that would then get them to jump down her throat and make the decision, you know, obvious. You know, so it really puts Laurel in a position of like, are you going to look like a hypocrite? And are you going to just play into the fact that everybody thinks you're obsessed with Cara? Because you clearly stated, like you mentioned, she wants the strongest, the best of the best. Well, who's the best of the best outside, you know, in Laurel's mind? Well, Laurel, if you think you're the best, who's the second best? It's definitely Cara.
Emily.
Well, of course, Laurel's a hypocrite because her whole biggest thing, you know, when they're talking is, I feel like, you know, Cara's been selfish in the past, as if Laurel hasn't always been selfish in pretty much everything that she's done. But the speech this entire time, you know, when she's talking before deliberation, at deliberation, it's all just a crock of shit. Like, she's not going to go after Emily because of the relationship that Bananas has with Emily. Like, it's protected. Laurel's obviously close with Bananas. And it doesn't matter what's going on. As soon as she sees the opportunity that, she can throw Cara in here, her mind was made up. There was no convincing her of doing anything other than that.
The way she was staring, you know, like it.
There was never a discussion.
Yeah, it was. She was like, yeah, it was never going to be a discussion. The only hope that I do have for Cara is my relationship with Bananas now. And I was talking to him, and I was pleading the case to him before deliberations, being like, listen, bro, like you and I, we're a clean slate. Like we're all good. Like we're on good terms. Like me, you, and Cara, we could actually work together this season. I know Laurel's going to be in that deliberation, you know, but I also know like you have sway when you want to have sway. So please use that sway. You know, now mind you, I'm pretty sure there's going to be I don't know how the next episode is going to start, but I can only assume because the way it worked when we were there is we all had to leave the deliberation and the people who were the winners had to stay and deliberate on what they were going to do. So I'm pretty sure that the cliffhanger of the deliberations are going to lead into that. So I'm interested to see, you know, what he said and did in this deliberation. You know, because I would hope that he like maybe went to bat for her a little bit for the sake of mine and his relationship. You know, but once again, it's Johnny Bananas. So like, he's also going to look out for the best interest of his game. To me, it's a no-brainer of who should go into the elimination. And, you know, it was never going to be Emily because of her relationship with both Johnny and Laurel. but it should be Aviv.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it's nothing against Aviv. It's just, if you're going based off of, well, the first portion of this game is definitely a team-related game, and we want to, you want known commodities. Whether you like them or not like them, what's the skill set? What are they going to bring? Are they going to help me win? And also, like, in a position like Cara, it's not like Cara's incentivized to lose. It's not like she's incentivized to throw.
Even if Cara wanted to, even if it was in Cara's best interest to throw a challenge, she wouldn't throw a challenge. She's
Right.
just that stubborn.
Like, ultimately, it's like, I just felt a lot of people here that were in the decision-making power weren't thinking. They were looking at what was right in front of them and not, well, what's going to happen 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, and I mean, and let's just call it what it is. The Vacation Alliance is in that house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Vacation Alliance does have a lot of sway. And, you know, I feel like and this is my issue with like the new kids and also the OGs at this point, is it's like, you guys come in trying to make a name for yourself on the new kids side of things. OGs, you invented this game. You guys are really going to sit in the back seat and let the Vacation Alliance run your game? Like, run your game. You created this game.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. Like, if I'm in your, like, not just like you specifically, just in general, like in the shoes, and I'm not in the Vacation Alliance.
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm getting put in because of that, but I'm going to make a statement about it. I'm going to make it well known that I'm like, hey, everyone, congratulations. I'm so happy that you are playing for Tori, for Jordan, for Josh, for Bananas, for Casey. Like, congratulations. You guys are playing for 7th place. Cool. You're not winning.
And the embarrassing thing is there was a lot of whispers around the house from a lot of people not in the Vacation Alliance, but it's the kind of whispers that are like, hey, I really wish you would call them out.
But I'll never back it.
You know what I mean? Like, well, it's like, I really wish you would call them out. And it's like, well, hey, if we all collectively call them out, that works better.
It seems like a lot of them are thinking, they're too busy thinking ahead, being like, okay, well, if I'm on season 41, maybe there isn't as many people. There's obviously not going to be as many people as 40. And so, yes, I'm 7th now, but, you know, maybe I can slide into 4 or 3 and get 10,000.
Slide into anything.
It doesn't make sense.
They all hang out outside of this and they talk and they say, we got a good thing going. We'll just put everybody individually, pull in your own 2 or 3 people, make them feel really great like they're on the in, classic Big Brother, and then cut them when it comes time. And the thing is, a lot of these people, I feel like, you know, and I do love Ashley. Like, she's one of my girls. But on War of the Worlds 2, when that one deliberation happened, we did have the numbers to split the vote, but she got intimidated by Laurel and Johnny and all of them. And when that first deliberation happened, it was only me, Cara, Ninja, and Cam who said, no, Laurel should go in because she threw the freaking challenge. And, you know, you had Ashley sitting there just being like, nope, I'm going to vote for Ninja.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's exactly how they get where they get on the shows, is because you got a house of 40 people. There's 8 people in the Vacation Alliance. So there's 32 of us that are just going to silently walk around. It's like, if anybody has ever read any history and any science experiments where they've done controlled groups of how a small group of people can influence a mass of people and slowly cut them away, that is exactly what it is. They're an incubated 8.
Right.
And they can slowly chop away numbers until it gets to a point where they don't give a fuck anymore. I mean, you know, read fucking Rules for Radicals, read fucking anything Marxist, anything about like Mao and how he like did what he did. You know what I mean? And there's actual science experiments where they put people in a room and they have 3 people that will always vote one way. And even though other people in that room know that the answer is wrong, they will vote the way that those 3 people vote, knowing that it's wrong, because they just want to fit in with the group. It's human nature. There's a science behind it, and they've got it mastered.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to move it over to Eric for, but instead of talking about the guy side of it, I want to talk about the girl side of it, because I think Bananas had a point, but not in the direction that he was making. When he was talking about like Nurys and Horacio, like they're spending so much time focusing on each other that it'll only end badly for them, for Air, for whatever. The point that I think he should have been making is they were too focused on, we want to give Nurys what Nurys, we want to give you what you want. We want to give you what you want. We want to give you what you want. And it was just like, from the viewer's perspective, it felt like Horacio was putting so much attention into that. And like, I'm trying to do whatever I can to help Nurys stay, which, sure, obviously you want your partner to stay in the game. But it left other things on the table that I felt could have been persuaded from the guy's side off of you.
100%. And that's the thing is, like, I only came into the game with Cara and Nurys, and Nurys assured me that Horacio was going to stay strong. And I was trying to tell him and her, I'm like, hey, you guys are kind of clouding the judgment here on what can be done here in order to leverage the next steps. You know, and I had to be the one that was like the bearer of like bad news and kind of the realist, where I was like, hey, guys, Nurys is in a really shitty situation. Any one of these girls can beat her. Puzzle, no puzzle, doesn't matter. Like, whether like Jenny's good at puzzles and she's physical, Casey's good at puzzles and she's physical, Olivia's good at puzzles and she's physical. So like, I almost was, you know, like sitting there being like, hey, listen, man, like you just got to pull the trigger on somebody. And you got to almost make it to benefit the decision on the guy's side, because unfortunately, like Nurys at this point is like a sacrificial lamb. And it pained me to say that, because if she would have got first place, then it's a different story. And if she didn't get last place, it's a different story, but she didn't. She got last place. And with that, it's like, dude, she's already in the elimination. You cannot try and calculate whether who she's going to win against or not, because we don't know what it is. And it could be anything. And it's a 50-50 shot regardless. So you might as well take a shot in the dark at anybody that could sway Michelle's opinion to give you what you want, right? For the benefit of the long thing. Because like, let's say hypothetically, Nurys goes home. And let's say he doesn't make a decision that benefits him and Nurys and myself and Cara, and I go in. And let's say, you know, now I'm going to feel a certain type of way that I even hit the sand towards him. But also he runs the risk of, instead of just, you know, hedging his bets and being like, I need to protect at least 100% from hitting the sand. Now I'm risking potentially losing 2.
Right.
Which is not really thinking smart, and his judgment was clouded. And I was trying to explain to Nurys, because she was really pushing him for Olivia. And I was like, Nurys, you beat her last season. Like you outlasted her. It doesn't matter what she did. You beat her. So you won. So like, by you doing this, you know, you're not acting like you beat her. You're acting like you still have something against her, where she should be the one chasing you. And she should be the one being like, I want to go down and finish the business or whatever. But Olivia wasn't giving that. Olivia was like, I don't want, like, Nurys, I want to make peace. I don't want to go against you, all that stuff. And me playing the seasons that I've played was like, this is an opportunity to leverage on the guy's side and make sure that you can hedge your bets. Right? Because if Nurys goes down, Nurys is already down. If I go down and we both go home, you're fucked, Horacio. If Nurys goes home and I'm still there, like, all chaos is breaking loose, but you still have an extra number. And I think him not hedging his bets, you know, or like thinking in the terms of hedging bets is a downfall, but I think he was clouded in that. And I think that's what Bananas was trying to get through. And I can relate to his sentiment, because on War of the Worlds 1, there were smarter decisions that I could have made and should have made in terms of who I picked to go into elimination that were better for my game. But instead, I chose to make decisions for Cara's game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And on War of the Worlds 2, same thing. There were decisions at a certain point in the game where I was like, hey, we're coasting. We should really just trim the fat on our team and really weaken the other team. But Cara was like, no, these people wrote it out with us this whole season on the other team and here. We have to do whatever. And once again, that was not good for my game if I was sitting there being like, I want a championship, but I listened to her. But coming into this season, I said, Cara, listen, I'm going to play my own game. You play your own game. We're playing attached, but I got to make decisions that are best for me because I got to win a championship. You've already got 2.
He's putting himself in such a bad position because he better hope that Nerys comes back, because whether you go in, whether you win or lose, you're obviously going to feel a different, some type of way about it. Michelle, ends up being Olivia, is going to feel strong-armed. So she's obviously not going to be happy with Horacio, that he's leaving himself on a team where we can only imagine that it's going to be in a team for a third, half the game, however long it is, that if Era 4 is nominating guys or just people in general, the only person that's going to have his back is Kylan, which means just trying to help Nerys out here, unless a perfect storm works out for him, he's setting himself up to be the sacrificial lamb for Era 4 over and over again. And this cast is way too big that he's probably not going to win 6-7 eliminations in a row. He's making it way harder for him than it needs to be.
And like Horacio being your number one, Kylan being your number one, yeah, cool. He'll have your back in votes, but he's not going to stick his neck out on the line, and he's not going to cause chaos, and he's going to float under the radar. That's just how he plays. He'll be a confessional gangster for sure, but he flies under the radar. And also, like on Michelle's side of things, I had open conversations with her where I was like, hey, listen, if you get strong armed, who's his number one? Strong arm him back. You know what I mean? And like, once again, this is one of those things where, I feel like the decision was coming down to me and Josh, and I was sitting there being like, well, Kylan's also an option on this side of things, but it would have only been him being the option if Michelle gets strong-armed into putting Olivia in. But This goes to show that I feel like Michelle has no backbone because she doesn't even think in that way because she just wants to please everybody.
Mm-hmm. And that's where I feel like if I'm on Era 4 here as just like an extra person, I'm trying to destabilize this Vacation Alliance because I think Vacation Alliance needs to take a hit early so that the game can truly breathe. And I would have been like, oh, you don't want Olivia to go in? Cool. Taking away everything. You don't get Olivia. We're putting Josh and Casey in. One of them has to go. Boom, end of story.
Right. That's when you're thinking long term. But they weren't thinking long term of hitting the numbers. But this episode showcased that Josh was thinking long term. Mm-hmm. And he was already moving those pieces to have other people think long term. And that's what I was trying to talk to Nerys, Horacio, and Michelle about. Because I'm like, Michelle, you're kind of on the outs with everybody, but like, who's going to have your back if you move forward in this game? Mm-hmm. And like, I thought it's just common sense. Like, for instance, like if somebody was strong arming me to put Cara in, which I would never do, but like if somebody was strong arming me to put Cara in, I'd be like, well, who's your number one? They're going in too. An eye for an eye.
Yeah.
And like the fact that wasn't even in her mind, just she's kind of.
It's also like the counterpoint of Josh pitches it as, yes, I know it can be scary that I have these other connections outside the team, but I'm using it for us. Like my counterpoint to him would have been just like, cool, but there's also like 8 other people who can do what you're doing.
Well, but that was my counterpoint. I mean, they didn't show everything that I said, but my counterpoint with all of everything I said about me, where it's like, I have the same relationships he has, only I don't make mine known. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. And the thing was, what I said is, and the thing about my relationships is, if it comes down to making decisions that are best for my team outside of Cara, I'll put him on the chopping block.
Mhm.
Whereas I was like, will Josh do that for his relationships on the other teams? The answer is no.
Yeah.
Josh is the lowest guy on their list.
Yeah.
And when it's time to cut, they cut him. They don't listen to him. He's not influential to them. They use him to be influential to other people. And he's very good at being influential to other people. Right. And like my point was, me and Josh have the same relationships, but I have no problem taking the heat if somebody's pissed at me and are like, why would you throw me in? I was working with you. Be like, well, it wasn't best for the team.
Yeah.
Sorry about it.
And the veer off, because I think we've said everything we can say for Era 4. Let's talk about something that's very not Era 4. Let's talk Era 1.
Oh, Jesus.
Essentially, to spin through it very quickly, Era 1 acts very Era 1-like, and Derek, who was not the option at all, volunteers himself in. And I just love the fact that he's like, I'm doing this for Darrell. Like, Darrell's done so much for me in the past that I never asked him to. And Darrell just goes, yeah, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have.
It's classic Darrell.
Classic Darrell. And, credit to Derek for doing it. But once again, stupid.
It's stupid because it's also you're volunteering yourself to go in against his other number one, because you'd say thinking about it, Derek's two closest people are Darrell and Mark. It's just like, why are you not making a pitch for Brad? That way all three of you can be there.
Very, very shocked at that. I was very shocked at Derek's decision because once again, Era 1, I was thinking Brad's going in.
Right.
Like I was like, no brainer. Brad's like in my mind, I was like, all right, this is a no brainer. Brad and Anissa are gonna go in, like done. But now it's like cliffhanger on the girls' side. Derek's like, I'll nominate myself, and I'm like, Jesus, dude, like, how have you won so many times if that's how you think and play the game?
Well, you have to also remember a lot of his wins were in a team format.
all three of his wins were on a team format. Where if you
other
look
people
at
were his brains.
Yeah, well, you look at Inferno 3, I don't believe he saw an elimination. You look at the island, there really were no eliminations.
It was just
he wasn't going. It was the voting.
Just, Kenny and Johnny controlling the game.
Then you look at what the last one was, the Ruins. He didn't see an elimination. So sure, he has a reputation of being the pit bull in eliminations. Those seasons, he's never actually won.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But yeah, Anissa, not surprised at all. I love the feigned shock she has that her ex is willing to let her go into elimination. But it's Anissa being Anissa.
I don't get why she didn't see that coming, because sure, it was a cop out by Rachel, but I think Rachel just wanted to be like, I don't want to have to do this to you. But if you're thinking from Rachel, you can't have that many people that you're protecting. Tina's higher on the totem pole. That's her number one. Sorry, Anissa. You're going to have to go.
And Jody did better than you.
Yeah.
Boom. There you go. Performance-based. Because I also think just a lot of these decisions, especially when it comes to the Cara Maria of it all, if Cara is the one that goes in, which obviously that's what it's alluding to, are they not considering the fact of who are they putting them up against? Because you're doing all this stuff where I'm like, oh, Anissa's having all this woe is me, but you're going in against Katie. You're coming back. Anyone that was getting voted in is coming back. If you're putting Cara Maria in against Kellyanne, I love Kellyanne, but 99% of the time,
she's coming
back.
It was also great tying it in, because if you look at one of Anissa's earliest confessional, it was like, I need one more win to tie Cara, and it's all setting up for her to get that win, but Cara also to continue to be one behind Cara.
Yeah.
And see, I would have pitched it like that. I would have pitched it to her, be like, we're putting you in. It's because you've been talking about how you want that elimination record. You got this, Anissa.
Yeah.
But yeah, we talked our pizza with air too. Brandon's also going in. Ryan's just like, yeah, Nehemiah whipped my ass. I don't need that again. Derek's my friend. Don't need that. Brandon, why not?
Brandon took it like a champ.
Yeah. He's just like, hey, okay, what it is. Maybe I'll get a headbanger.
Yeah.
Then you get Era 3. And Era 3, I think the main point here is, besides, we'll save Amanda for last. From the guy's side, Tony does the only pitch he can do, I feel, which is, you have Jordan right here. Corey, do you want to be the top dog of this group or not? Like,
no, it's a great pitch, but I think Jordan handled it very well on the spot, under pressure, and goes, you got to get there, and I'll get you there. And how can you what do you say back to that? Because he has proven time and time again that he can get anybody there. He got Anissa there.
Mm-hmm.
And he has Tori there being the co-decision maker, which is just what makes that so much harder.
I knew Jordan wasn't going in at all. But on the girls' side, I love Amanda. It's like, but once again, she makes a good point where it's like, and I think Corey kind of like, didn't have her back for all the times that she's had his back. It's a little crazy that he kind of was like, you're going to have to give me a better reason. And it's like, other than like, you're going to have to give me a better reason other than Nelly T. It's like, oh, okay. How about the fact that TYB and the Lavender ladies like
are not here.
Always a thing. And how about the fact that you both have kids?
Hey, well,
you have had me with just like, I thought her pitch on we are the Outlanders here. Like, we are not in the thing. Like, yes, you attach yourself to them. Have you won? Have you won being attached to them? The answer is no, buddy. Like,
his cold response to Amanda is exactly why Jordan has no shot of going in, because Corey's trying to fit in. If Corey was trying to stand out, he'd fight for Amanda and he'd fight to send Jordan in, but it's becoming very obvious from his response. See how the
deliberations go. Once again, that's another deliberation I'm very curious to see, because I want to see what Corey does.
Mm-hmm. Because, like, if we use USA 2 as an example, it's not going to be much because we're going to see him just fold. But I would like to see him at least have the thought out loud of Amanda made good points.
Yes.
Especially coming off of Spies, Lies, and Allies, as you saw what happened. The vets stayed together, and then you were the first one to be cut. What has changed for him not to think that once you get rid of the outliers, that he isn't going to get targeted halfway through the game again? And so he needs to switch up his strategy, or the same exact thing's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So
it's just, here's the thing, dude. I'm tired of hearing vets and people cry and complain about the Vacation Alliance, and then you get into the game and you all just get on your knees, cradle those balls, and suck that big old fat dick of the Vacation Alliance. Do we call it a big old fat dick, or is it mediocre? I don't know.
It's mediocre at best. It's
mediocre at best. With all 8 of them combined, maybe it's a girthy one, but we don't know.
Oh, no. But it's like, when you get to the girls of it all, it's sort of similar to Era 2 to me. And I think the choice is clear that it should just be Avery. I'm sorry. Like, you can't tell me that the Amanda pitch of, like, me and you are both very good friends of Nelly T. Like, we have that bond. We have the Lavender ladies and Team Young Buck. Like, we've gone through this era and this challenge history together. And then you have Avery being like, well, you guys haven't gotten a chance to know me. And by throwing me in, you don't get to know me. That's where I would have been like, yeah, I need a better thing than just that. Like, where you bring the table. Because no matter what, like, even if you're Tori and you don't like Amanda hasn't been able to show that by herself that she can move heaven and earth to get what she wants, but she's a great team player when it comes to a daily.
Dude, I said this when we did our recap of Era 3. I said Amanda is one of the most underrated people, and I'm with you, dude. Like, I'm shocked that Avery isn't even the obvious choice on the girl side. Mm-hmm. It's like, dude, Avery is the obvious choice.
My favorite part of the entire deliberation, though, was just, it was such an Amanda answer, was, let me take 30 seconds to shit on Tori, telling her that I'll never like her, and then I'll explain why it makes sense to keep me. Like, it's such a classic, great Amanda moment.
It's a great Amanda moment, but it's like, at the same time, I respect that so much more because she's right. I'm like, yeah, you are being real with me. and I can respect that. Like beyond what else, I can respect that, and like, and maybe there's like a temptation there. It's like you see Nia's on the other side, and you're like, well, they're doing like 1 million eliminations tomorrow. Odds are a lot of them are going to be physical. So, who do we want to see get ragdolled by Nia, potentially? And then it's like. And then Tori just sees like, oh, well, I can take out the one person who's going to actively speak out against me constantly.
Once again, this goes back to like, what we talked about, where I'm like, dude, what is Tori's deal, dude? And I don't mean that to be a play on words, but seriously, it's like, what is your hang up, dude? Like what? Just because you don't want Amanda saying shit to you all season long, like, is she really a threat to you, Tori? Can she take you out in an elimination? Can she sway the masses? I don't think so, but she's a good utility player and she will work hard for your team.
Right.
And everybody on your team doesn't have to like you. This kind of goes back to like somewhat of like the ego-driven side of Tori where, you know, she plays all peace and butterflies, but deep down, is she all peace and butterflies? Because why, you know, all right, Amanda doesn't like you. Who gives a shit, dude? Like, you are definitely superior as a competitor. Right. Like you already dragged Amanda in an elimination. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, she's fighting with you and all that stuff, but who cares?
Especially with how well So especially with how well insulated Tori is on her team. Like there is no scenario in Era 3 that Amanda could change the masses and have Tori thrown in. So it's just like we can use her for as long as we can, but she's never going to be able to do anything. And guess what? The next time we need to eliminate a woman, Amanda's right there if you're picking someone from Era 3.
Right. Like you should be thinking about, well, who can I leave here to be thrown in later? We don't get to see a lot of it. We just see him in confessional. But like, I feel like Tori would be more malleable if Devin was like just doing what Laura was doing to Michelle and just like constantly being on Tori's case of being like, this is why it's good. It's better for me. But
to Devin's credit, he really was pushing for it to not be Amanda. Like he was definitely being like, hey, listen. I know this sucks. I know she hates your guts. I know you're going to hear her fucking chirping shit, but I can be that middle person. And Amanda has shown that she could be logical with that because I'm close friends with Amanda. And look at what happened with Cara and Amanda's relationship. I was able to mend that fence. Amanda is that way. You just, you know, it's just she's going to call it like she sees it. But it doesn't mean that she's not illogical.
Right. And then at that point, you're like, okay, now I just feel like it's a petty move. It's no different than Laurel throwing Cara in any chance she gets in the sense of like, I just don't like you. And for whatever reason, I'm threatened by you. So I'm going to constantly target you.
It's a really petty move. It's not cool.
Yeah. But it wraps up there for the first episode. We get the cliffhangers. We don't get to see who the picks are, but obviously it leads with you and Theo staring it down, which was a magical moment. I'm sure your DMs are going to go wild after that.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of weird DMs saying like, I'm so wet right now, daddy, and everything. Like, I want you to look at me that way. And I'm like, okay.
I mean, you took full control of that room once you were like, hey, let's just call it right now. If you want to talk some shit behind me, say it to my face. I was like, oh, damn.
That dog's still in there, man.
Hey, it'll never go away. It'll never go away.
It won't.
How long was the deliberate? Like, we just saw the flip of the timer, but how long were you guys?
Well, so I don't know if you noticed how Theo was like hunched over and he would do like this while he's talking. Like, he was trying to cool himself off because he was sweating so bad. So it was so hard to not just like fucking absolutely rip him to shreds, but also laugh because he's sitting there trying to be serious with me. But in between breaths, he'd be like, what are you talking about, Paulie? You did this. And I'm like, what are you doing? So we were in there for a long time and it was hot.
Okay.
Hot.
That's what was happening. Because I saw the shirt move and I thought, I was like, is this dude trying to make his pecs bounce right now or something? I'm like, what the hell, man?
Dude, he looked like that Simpsons character, that the old guy, who's the business guy, who's always like sitting there like this.
Yeah,
So like he's like sitting there like this, like hunched over. And I was like sitting there being like, don't call him the Simpsons character. Don't call him the Simpsons character. Don't call him the Simpsons character.
But like I said, it leaves us at a good spot. I think the ending of the premiere set a pretty fun tone for what we should continue to see. And I'm hopeful that from interactions like we see from you, what we see from Amanda, just like, from Cara, it's just like, I'm hoping more people are going to be willing as the season keeps going on to just truly speak their mind.
Probably not.
That's when the best TV happens.
Hey, leave it up to the Kumbaya Vacation Alliance, dude. They've really caused a lot of chaos the past 4 years.
Yeah, totally. I've covered it all.
Great authentic TV from them at all times.
At all times. Dan, do you want to close us out?
Yeah, I will keep you updated before I close this out. I have been tallying how many people are mentioning they're there for their family and for their children. So far, we're up to 8 mentions with Leroy and Corey tied for first at 2 apiece right now. I'll keep you updated as the season goes. I have my official tally paper right here, so don't worry.
Specifically, people who have kids, for fuck's sake, so that we all know that it's just a challenge with people who have kids, so they don't have to talk about it. God,
and then you put a redemption house that has all the kids in it. All the kids are there, so you're still in the game, but you have to babysit.
You want to know what would actually be the funny show is have the kids in there, see how much the parents say they miss their kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You sure miss your kids while they're waking you up at 3 a.m. right before you got to do a challenge the next day at 5 a.m. Shut up. We'll see what the real parenting is like.
But that will wrap it up for us. You can join us all season long. Right after the episode, we'll be going live at 10 p.m. Be myself, Alex, and Paulie. So make sure to tune in every week. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit the bell, like and subscribe to the page. That way you get notified every time we do go live. And then if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts at, make sure to like, rate, and review us 5 stars. It helps us out tremendously. And you get to follow along everything else that's going on in the Reality After Show Network. Johnny and Matt continue some type of Survivor coverage every week. They just had Stephanie LaGrossa on talking potential season 50. You can listen to the Reality Queens with Rachel Riley and Jen Hoffman as they cover Big Brother, and plenty of other podcasts that are happening there each and every week. Like I said, join us next week. And once again, make sure you come visit myself, Jonny Fairplay, Paulie, and Cara Maria September 11th in Charlotte, North Carolina for a watch party. You can get your tickets at challengetix.com. That's challengetix.com. That'll do it for us tonight, and we'll see you all next week.